is Martina and welcome to my channel. Today's video, as you can see from the title, I am going to transform this old skirt into a very trendy baguette bag. It was a little challenging for me, but I really had fun making this, so I hope you can join me as I show you how I did it. The first thing that I did was to make a huge piece of fabric from the skirt by ripping its existing seams. This way made it easier for me to cut the patterns, which I will show you next. The three patterns that I used are actually just based on my preference, so feel free to adjust the shapes and the measurements accordingly. For the first pattern, I needed 2 pieces of this one for the body of the bag. So as you can see, I'm just cutting the first piece for the body of the bag. So now I have my first piece and I just got another one for the second piece. These are the 2 pieces of fabric needed for the body of the bag. The second pattern, which I labeled as the bottom and the sides, is actually just half of what is really needed. So what I did here first was to trace the pattern on one side. Then I just reflected the same pattern to the other side to make the whole strip of fabric which is needed. After tracing the pattern, I cut the fabric accordingly. This is how the fabric for the bottom and the sides looked like. Now the last pattern, which is the strap, is just an easy rectangular piece of fabric. So these are the 4 pieces of fabric that I needed for the assembly of the bag. So the first thing that I did was to pin these 3 pieces of fabric all together to make the main structure or the body of the bag. I just pinned them all together, making sure that the right sides were facing each other. So this is how the structure looks like when they are pinned all together, and this is now ready to be sewn. As usual, I used the pins as my guide and sewn along those lines. This is how the first side looked like when finished. This is how the structure looked like when sewn all together. At this point, as you can see, the bag is already coming to life and I'm very happy with how it turned out despite my sewing skills, which are very mediocre, I know. Anyway, the next step is to add a lining because the fabric that I used is quite thin. I don't know if this is soft denim or chambray. I'm not really sure about fabric terms. So from an old bag, I have a spare lining to use and I think it just fits, although it's not a perfect fit, and I also have a zipper from that same bag and I just wanted to save them and I used it for this bag. So in this clip, as you can see, I'm just ripping from the old skirt a belt slot which I will use as a handle of the zipper. So on this part, I just did a top stitch and this is how it looks like. After I fixed the zipper, I attached the main fabric to the lining of the bag, wrong sides facing each other. By the way, you can totally choose your own lining fabric for this one. I just really didn't want mine to go to waste. That's why I use it for this project. Anyway, the assembly of the lining fabric is just the same as the assembly of the main fabric, which we did earlier. Now to attach the zipper, the right side of the main fabric should face the right side of the zipper as well. So here I used pins once again as my guide, and as you can see, the zipper, the main fabric, and the lining fabric of the bag are already pinned all together, and that's what we will sew next. At this point, unfortunately, I have to say that my sewing machine was acting up. That's why I had to do this by hand. I really just wanted to finish this project. That's why I just did a simple back stitch. I'm not really an expert when it comes to this thing, but I think that back stitch is already sturdy enough to keep these pieces all together. So this is how it turned out after a lot of patience. It's not really perfect, but I'm really happy that I was able to make it to this point. Right sides out, this is how the bag looks like, and the only missing piece here is the strap. From the pattern that has been made earlier, I just folded that into two right sides facing each other, and at the ends of the strap, I also folded in about half a centimeter to avoid raw hems. So I just did a straight stitch on that because there is no other choice for the sewing machine anyway but straight stitch. But yes, after that I just turned this right sides out, and then I already have the strap for the bag. To attach the strap, what I did was to insert the excess part on the sides of the bag into the strap. I just think it looks more neat this way. That's why I just did a top stitch on that part and then on the other side as well. And that's the end of this project, and this is how it turned out.